All right, welcome back to Denoised. Good to see you again, Addy.
Welcome back, Joey.
All right, so we're going to do our weekly roundup of what's new in AI in the video space.
Yeah, I saw your list and I'm like,
a lot of updates.
Oh my God.
And this isn't even counting the stuff when you're out of town. This is just for like the last week or so. All right, so the big one, the one that's been overtaking my feed, Runway's Aleph. Yeah, this one's pretty wild. So basically now instead of fully generative scenes, you upload an existing video and you just tell it what you want to change and it changes it.
This is exactly the direction AI tools should go. It's not about generating once and, what is that saying? You said it and you forget it. It's not that. That's not how a production works. Production is all about iterations, changes, refinement. And this is giving you access into that world.
Have you seen some of the demos and some of the examples?
Yeah. So first of all, any sort of traditional green screen workflow, I think this jumps right into that territory.
Yeah, relighting, a lot of demos with relighting, a lot of traditional VFX stuff, adding objects, changing clothing, removing cars, moving people, changing weather.
This is so groundbreaking and so powerful. It's just, we're not covering it to its full extent here. And I don't think we can because we're not like running it and showing it to you.
I'll show some clips. I got some clips loaded up here. Yeah, I'll show some clips. Yeah, we got one of the woman walking and she's just changing her hair, changing her eyeglasses, changing her clothing.
This covers so many aspects of traditional VFX, right? So you just said relighting. I think it'll do green screen, chroma key, background replacement.
I don't even think you need green screen. I think the joke was I saw them one of the posts with a shot of a boat, like a real life, stock footage shot of a boat, and then the joke they made it a joke where it's like they put the boat on a green screen,
right?
And then made it look like it was like a fake behind the scenes shot. She was shooting the boat, but it was a real life shot of a boat.
Yeah, right. It doesn't even need the green screen. Joey, what are your thoughts on, the inevitable question, job replacement and where people are in VFX?
That's where this, let me go to some of the technical specs first, because
let me pin that.
That's gonna, I feel like, if you're a professional VFX artist, like there are a lot of, you'll see this and be like, that's definitely not usable for us right now yet.
Sure.
But right now, currently it only supports 5-second output. And I think the output's 1080 and all of the other limitations with color space and color science and with AI generated outputs. So that's still a limitation for now. Obviously, like this will.
Like what? We're talking months, maybe.
I have not seen, I can't think I've seen any AI generative outputs that are like EXR, like of the quality that you would need for a professional.
I think it goes back to the total addressable market, TAM, as it's called in the business circle. If you look at TAM of, consumer goods, hard goods, I don't know, something like energy drink, right? Like the TAMs of things that are on store shelves are so much bigger than like the film industry. You're talking about like, a few $1 billion versus hundreds of billions of dollars. And so the AI companies are building things that are addressing TAMs, right? So like our film, our endearing market is so small and it takes so much work to build like an EXR output or, 16-bit in and out.
Yeah, and you have to train on that.
Yeah, and then where's the return on the other end of it?
Right, to go to level that up. Yeah, so that said, about the original question of, VFX artists, you need to get on this. Like, yes, I feel like it will, obviously it's going to displace a lot of stuff. And like more people can, or someone could do less, but I still think there's going to be a lot of gaps. The stuff that's coming to mind now is the demos we're seeing. Well, first off, they're 5 seconds, that's short. And we're just sort of seeing one-shot demos. I haven't really had a chance, I think I just got access to it. I made a shot. I was trying to just find what clips I randomly had that were uncut. And I had some shots walking around the airport. And so I added an elephant in the airport. It looks kind of good. It's a little blurry.
Any VFX artist in their right weight and mind can be like, they can dismiss it quite easily. But I'm saying don't do that because you cannot look the other way.
That's where I interrupted my own thought, but that's where I was going with this. Where like, if you're a VFX artist, you can see this can get a good first step, but like there will still be gaps and there will still be. Anyway, the thing I was saying with the testing was we've seen one-shot tests. Like, how does this do with the continuity? How does this do with like you're in a scene, you need to reverse shot, or replace a shirt, but you want that shirt to be the same, in every single shot.
Yes.
I'm sure there are still limitations there. And I think what you need to figure out is like, how does this tool work and become like a prompting expert at that so that you can be the one that either gets it to the continuity space or gets something from Runway to be the good first output. And then you use traditional compositing tools and methodologies to get it to level it up. But this can like save a ton of time in the start.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're also in a transitionary period. Like these tools are not final, right? Like Aleph is just the beginning of what Runway's going to release, I'm sure, a year or two from now.
Or a week or two from now.
Right. Like they're not done. They're just getting started. So like if you are in on this early enough, you can sort of be in a really good position a year or two from now and be ready for the next wave of tools and innovation rather than sitting it out. I don't think sitting it out is a good option.
No, you just got to start messing with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like when what would have taken days or weeks of compositing work, even Cristobal, your favorite, posted out a joke, it was like listing out every single thing you'd have to do to erase all the cars in a street shot of New York.
Yeah.
And now you could just type in a prompt and be like, remove the cars.
Yeah.
So like rethinking, changing the way you think of like, oh, this was a whole process. Now I can just type to do what I want. You need to start messing with this stuff.
So my advice is like, start doing the research now, start watching Denoised, and get in Runway Aleph yourself, like you're doing.
Yeah, no, you got to mess with it. Yeah, I mean, also in the VFX world, like I know there's going to be pushback or of this still doesn't give you the finite control, or this still, like in a big budget, Hollywood movie where they're going through VFX and they're going through every single frame and giving notes, and it's like, oh, the shirt needs to change here, or this needs to change here, and it's like you don't get that yet with the outputs.
But on the flip side of that is something like Netflix's Eternaut, right? That where they use that AI inserted shot. We're going to see just more and more of that.
Yeah, and it's just like, is it just going to change where it's like, okay, we do more stuff, and there's maybe the pickiness level goes down, or the control gets better, or you figure out a way to blend Aleph with Nuke or traditional compositing to like get the best of both worlds.
I think productions around the world are not going to wait until AI is ready. They're already going to start using it and push AI to be ready, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and figuring out how to put this in the pipeline.
Like nobody's going to wait for Aleph 2 and then be like, you know what, Aleph 1 sucks because it's 1080p, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to wait for Aleph 2. No, they're probably already going to use Aleph 1 to some extent and then figure out how to plus it and make it work until Aleph 2 comes
and so
out.
many of these tools anyways, it's like, okay, well, where do you need to get? And then what tool can help you get there? Which, is usually a variety of tools. Like there's really no one-shot tool that's like going to do everything for you.
Right.
It's knowing all of these tools. Like I'm working on a small project now, and it's like I went through like every single model to like figure out for this type of work, which models work best for this specific thing.
Yeah.
And these models wouldn't work best for a different type of project. They work well for this project, but it's just a lot of like, you got to know all these models and tools to figure out what is the right tool for the right job.
And it's going to continue to be that way for a long time because I think it's like the tools are very specific. You have your screwdriver, your Phillips head, your flathead, you have your drill, and like it's not going to become this Swiss Army knife anytime soon. Are you finding yourself using different models at a shot level?
Sometimes. I try to avoid that because then we've drawn the film stock analogy, you get different looks. And so like, as much as I can stay, the process now, it's been like, let me get the blocking right that I want. And I'm trying to stick with one model for that. Right. And then there's a certain style we're trying to go for. So then I'm style transferring it with a different model, but trying to keep that all consistent.
Yeah.
And then animating it with a different model, but then that hits hiccups because sometimes, depending on the model, they only support first frame. But other shots, I'm like, well, I know I want this first frame and this end frame, but this model doesn't support it, so I got to use a different model. So I've been trying to stick with models because then when I try a different model, you get a completely different look.
Yes.
And then it just kind of takes you out of it. So I've been trying to figure out like what model produces the best results on average for this specific project.
Yeah, which is such a interesting challenge when you're making like a 90-minute thing, 60-minute thing, whatever, like shot consistency and look and feel and texture, maintaining that on top of like all the creative changes.
Yeah. And for longer projects, I mean, we're messing with some stuff now, but I haven't gotten there yet. But I've been thinking of breaking that down, thinking of at least for the scene to stick with the similar workflow for the scene. Maybe different scenes, we use different models or workflows, but like at least get the scene continuity.
Correct.
And keep things kind of consistent there.
Yes. Yeah. And those of you who have not caught up on our AI workflow video, we released it, a couple of weeks back?
About, 2 weeks ago on last week.
Joey covers it in detail. We even have a very specific diagram in there.
Yeah. And now there is a link to the diagram because people are asking for it. So you can check out the link to the diagram. And I opened comments, which I was worried about online. No one's left anything crazy yet, but if you have any comments or any to like of your own tools that I did not include on the diagram, you can publicly comment on the on that workflow to add your own tools that I missed.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to say about Aleph that we didn't really talk about too is you can also change camera angle. So you can give it a shot of a video, and I saw someone pose a demo with like a car driving down a street and then being like, give me the low angle by the wheel, give me the like aerial shot.
Oh, how cool.
And so this, you're not even just changing elements in the scene, but just changing the perspective from having a single shot. Opens up a lot of possibilities and things that like we're not even thinking of yet, but just kind of makes things
my mind
crazier.
Instantly goes to lazy cinematographer. It's like, yeah, just shoot it like this. We'll get it in post.
Fix it in post. It has like a way new meaning now.
It's like, aren't you gonna rent a techno crane for that shot? Why? We'll just shoot at head level and we'll just move the camera.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, we'll just run it at Aleph after. Yeah, don't worry, man. We got it.
It's like, why are you, dude? This DP is like an Oscar-winning DP. He's on his iPhone. Like, we don't need an ARRI for this.
He's just running around in circles, just capturing everything. What are you gonna do with this?
He's like a glorified photogrammetry artist at that point.
Yeah, fix it in post is gonna have new meaning. That's crazy. All right, now not to let Aleph have all the fun. Luma AI released their own update.
I'm loving the competition
which
here.
I'm also not surprised because it seemed like with modified video that they released a couple weeks ago, they had the capability. Modified video was you would give it a driving video and then you could update the first frame or kind of tell it what you wanted and it would sort of change it. But now you don't have to have a first frame or have like a driving modification similar to Aleph. You just upload the video and it's now called Modify with instructions. And so you can just chat it out and say what you want to change. And so the demos are very similar to Aleph where you give it a video and just say, change this. And it changes it.
You know what my dream scenario would be? Like a round table with like Amit and Cristobal and all the big, I wake up dreaming of that.
That's what you dream about. Yeah.
So no, shout out to Luma. So you and I send each other videos all the time. Yeah. I sent you a John Finger video where he's sitting on a fire hydrant and then Luma Modify removes that fire hydrant. And it just goes to Cristobal's point is like, what is the existing cost and effort of something like that, with traditional VFX, and how instantaneous is it now? It fundamentally changes the game. And if you're concerned about quality, frame rate, maybe John's face not looking right, things like that, I think you're missing the point because there's a big shift, big seismic shift happening with all of these tools. And I'm just so fortunate that we're living through such a revolutionary time.
John without an H. Sorry, John, I forgot it was Jon.
Yep.
Where he's posted a lot of Luma stuff.
Yes.
He just posted another fun one at Muscle Beach because he's near Venice.
He's in Venice,
shooting in the empty courtyard area,
I saw that
stadium area, and then running a bunch of different modifications to fill it in with a crowd, to like turn it into a sci-fi stage.
I've done crowd replacement and crowd addition work.
How easy is that?
Oh my God. I mean, so one of the challenges was I was using Unreal, and as you know, putting 10,000 humans in Unreal is a challenge in itself, right? Just real-time processing slows down. And then on top of that, you now have a camera match move, variation in crowd animation, variation in crowd ethnicity, body type, costume.
Yeah.
Like, this solves that.
Yeah, I will say in the commentary I've been seeing from demos online between Luma's modified video and Aleph is Luma does seem to modify the faces a bit more, and Aleph does a better job right now of doing what you want to do and sort of leaving the rest of it unchanged. So like in some of these demos, you can see John's face kind of warps a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or doesn't look exactly like him, but
I think John knows it. But even with that, it's so powerful.
Just modifying the models and improving upon it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, still look, just overall complaining about the face would be like, oh, well, just removed the hydrant below him and made him float in space. Or in this other demo, it removed all the graffiti on a building and just painted it normally.
Yeah, I mean, on the competition side, we're comparing apples to apples, right? Like they're so close. But would you say that Aleph distorts less than Luma?
That's what I've been seeing. I mean, I haven't messed around with them as much, but that's what I've been seeing and some other commentary online from people that have run both and compare. I just got access to Aleph
and then how much longer before VO 3 has all this functionality? Right?
Something else, right? Also, I didn't want to leave this out too because it sort of went under the radar because they're so new. But Moonvalley also they have some features where you can shift camera angle. They have features where you can kind of do a style transfer on the video. So they also have some similar features to this.
They have like pose transfer, motion transfer,
newer to the game and the social media game. So like there's less awareness of it. But yeah, Paul Trillo posted some demos too of like, hey, you can also do similar stuff in Moonvalley. It is possible.
Yeah.
You just might not know about it yet because Runway and Luma have been around for so much longer. Yeah. But wild. All right. Next update in the open source video space. Big update. Wan 2.2 is released.
Wan's a sleeper.
Yeah, Wan is from Alibaba, and Wan is probably the best open source video model, like VO3 level, realistic quality, but you could run it. If you have a powerful enough computer, you could run it on your computer.
It's free.
Or, you could download it for free, run it for free on your computer, or a lot of the API websites like Fall and Replicate offer pretty cheap access to just calling it up and using. They're much more faster and powerful computers because I ran this and it takes a while.
Dude, video generation on a local PC is no joke.
Yeah, they have two versions, or they have three models. One is a text-to-video model with 14 billion parameters. Another one is an image-to-video model, also 14 billion parameters. And then a unified video generation model that has 5 billion parameters.
5B. That's the one you want to roll with for local.
Yeah, I did roll with the 14B.
Oh, shit.
And it took 44 minutes to generate a 5-second video clip.
That's not too bad. Honestly, that's not too bad.
I was running on a beefy card.
And it's 720p, right?
It was 720p.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I knocked it down to 480, it would have obviously been faster. But it was... 5 seconds. But it's crazy, to even 44 minutes to have something that just generated on your local computer for quote free. I mean, obviously the energy and the hardware costs. But
so one of the things that I love to watch on YouTube, I know I'm such a sucker for this stuff, is some of the folks take historic photographs. Like they'll take a photo of Cleopatra and then they'll like slightly, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's what she looked like. So I did some of that with like my family. Like I have childhood pictures of myself, my cousins, whatever. So I did some of that with Wan 2.1 and I sent it to them as a gag. It was fun. So with Wan 2.2, there is a slight architecture change that I want to cover, and I find really interesting. So the way they broke up the diffusers and the save tensors is they broke it up as a high noise and a low noise model. So you have to download both or several versions of both. I think it's in pieces because each piece is like 5 gigabytes and it adds up to like 30 or 40 gigs.
Sounds right.
And the way it denoises is first when the noise level is really high in the earlier steps, it'll use the high model, and then at some point it'll switch over to the low model, and supposedly like that's what is giving you the more superior result. I just find it really fascinating because is this the trend of what we're going to see moving forward, is like more segmented, more broken out models
of like how the model works entirely, or
like architecturally. I just find it really fascinating.
What are the benefits of you like I've seen people comment on the controller with the high noise, low noise, but I don't know exactly what difference that makes.
No idea myself. So just from like a high level AI perspective, the higher noise is where a lot of the creativity happens. Like the first formation of the image happens in the high noise steps. So like if it's if you're trying to get more of a creative output, then just let the high noise thing churn for a little bit longer, and then let the low noise stuff refine and give you that fine detail, fine texture, and all that. Maybe that's how it works.
I'm also seeing in their post too because they call it a mixture of experts architecture. And specialized experts handle diffusion, denoising time steps cooperatively. So it also seems like an efficiency gain too, to like run both to get faster outputs. The other improvement too is more understanding of cinematic language. Lighting control, camera movement, composition, and it has done, and even in the demos, has really good job with demoing of just like very cinematic looking and realistic looking shots.
And you can kind of tell with their marketing too, is that they're really aiming it towards, your Luma, your Runway, your VO with this one, because even like as generic as the Alibaba website is for this, it still has like the word cinematic in there, and where Wan 2.1 didn't have that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's an update.
Yeah, so they're like shooting for our industry.
Yeah, and I mean, the quality's up there. I mean, look, it doesn't generate audio like VO3 does,
right?
But realistic quality-wise, really good.
Yeah.
Especially for open source.
I haven't played around with it. I don't have a nice GPU like you. I just have
technically not mine. I'm borrowing it from a friend.
Yeah. So I just have a 3090, which is 2-3 years old now, and I'm going to try to run this at home in the next week or so.
Yeah. Anything you're going to try to do offhand?
Yeah, maybe all the Roman emperors. I don't know.
Yeah. So that one's been a fun one. Yeah. All right. Ideogram, which sort of, kind of forgotten about a little bit. Hasn't been in the news as much. I've always been a big fan because they did text.
They did text really
way better than anyone else for a long time.
Yes, that's their claim to fame.
Yeah, and I've liked a lot of their outputs. Sometimes I like their outputs more than Midjourney. It's usually one of my go-to image generators.
Oh, sure.
But they released a new feature called Ideogram Character, and it is basically one shot. Just upload a single image of you or whoever you are trying to add into your generation, and it puts them in the scene. And it's one of the best looking character generators that I've seen from a single shot.
I'm looking at their website now. I mean, obviously it's going to be polished because it's on their website, but I mean, those are pretty impressive results from just one single image.
I mean, I've tested it too from a single image and got like really good looking, impressive shots. I haven't tested it as much because it was a lot of the demos that they show and like templates to kind of give you some template ideas are kind of portraity or modeling, where it's like very posed, facing towards camera. I haven't tried it as much where it's like if I'm trying to stage a scene and, maybe get more of like obscured or profile looking up the side of the faces. I haven't tested it with that to see if it handles that well, because all the demos are like smiling at a camera, smiling at a camera.
Yeah, it's really changing the angles that test the model.
Yeah, and like if the face is obscured or you just see part of the side of the face, or you want to put a hat on them or something else.
Yeah.
But look, overall, from a single image, the results are really, really good looking.
Yeah, it's right after Flex Context, which also has similar capabilities, I believe. So on the video generation side, things are leveling up, but also on the image generation side, things are leveling up as well.
Yeah, Flex Context I've really been enjoying. That's been a good one.
Yeah.
Too. I recently learned that like a lot of I was looking for kind of just controls, like doing style transfer of Flex Context, and then it doesn't have specific controls to give it, but then I realized like basically you just prompt it.
Yeah.
Of like, don't modify the framing of the original image, but change this, and then just does it.
Oh, wow.
Where I was trying to like look for like a denoise slider or something to be like how the weight of how much it should look for the original image, and it's like it doesn't even need that. You just tell it, don't mess with it.
Yeah, you're trying to be super technical.
Yeah, I was trying to be like, where's the slider? And I was like, just tell it.
I'm a pro. I'm going to use pro words. It's like, dude, just tell us.
Did
you see on their website they use the Coldplay meme, the Coldplay concert meme, to do a magic fill? So we're looking at the picture of the astronomer CEO, and I guess that works.
Yeah. Look, I'm for that, for pulling from pop culture references.
I love that.
Memify yourself.
And they also have
a selfie with Einstein.
Some Kodak camera stuff in there. Yeah, that's great. Ideogram understands social media and pop culture.
Yeah. What is a picture with a guy holding a gun and a puppy?
Oh, no. Are we going to get banned from YouTube for showing that?
To blur it out. Oh, yeah. And you could draw mask. So, yeah, if you have an existing image too, you can mask out the image to swap out the face.
Yeah, it's doing regional in painting and regional correction, which is awesome. In painting is one of the hardest problems for models to solve. It's like, don't change anything else, just this little bit, and then blend it in.
Yeah. So, another good update from Ideogram. I'm glad they're back in the game because I always enjoyed them as an image generator. And they have good API support as well, which is also, sometimes I forget about Midjourney because they're talking about rolling out an API, but they don't have an API. So and you're in the multi-tool space, they never show up because you have to use them on their platform.
Yeah, I'm not a big API consumer, but I think you are, right?
I mean, I've been messing with them more in Comfy, but also using like FreePick more. These tools only work if the API exists.
That's true.
If the company offers an API.
It plugs into other things.
Yeah. So you need that for these like super tool all-in-one things to work, or to build out a Comfy workflow. Like it's only going to work if there's not a local model and you need to use an API version. It only works with the API. All right. Photoshop also. super impressive feature. Back in the game, this is
Adobe's back.
Don't forget about us, and we're offering you very useful features. Big one in Photoshop and beta, a new feature called Harmonize. So this one's wild and looks extremely useful, and every talk I've seen online is like, oh, this is actually like extremely powerful and useful.
Yeah, this is what people are actually going to use.
Yeah, so basically you take whatever image you got, you just take a cutout of what you want to place in the scene. So let's say we had, I don't know, a coffee cup for lack of a better example, and we put it on the table, and then you say Harmonize, and then it just automatically blends it in the scene, matches the lighting, the shadows, the color,
the
texture.
perspective.
Well, you're already at your perspective. Like assuming you have a wide shot of something and you drop.
But the object could be off perspective.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it just blends into the scene.
Yeah.
One click.
This is so useful even for our industry. We're doing conceptualization, previs, and you're adding a bunch of things into your set. Now you can just do it in Photoshop and then hit Harmonize when you're done.
Yeah, for art design, planning, and that's a great idea.
You really have no excuses now, with Ideogram and this and all the other tools to have like the perfect,
really good looking
previs.
Yeah, I think back to with I remember a friend worked at a company that like they would just do the like 3D previs stuff for like commercials.
Sure, yeah.
But the previs was like the worst looking, like blocky 3D characters.
Yeah, it's like all chopped at
just
the seam.
Like, to move it, you just literally like the character just literally like floated across the scene. And it was like they would get paid a lot of money to do these like previs things.
That's what the third floor, like big company here in LA, that's their whole business was that, right? Delivering that level of previs, because before that there was none. There was no computer generated previs. Yeah. Right. There was like hand sketches and things, storyboards, if you will. Yeah. So like we go from that to this, like almost.
Yeah. Now there's no reason why your previs should not look good. And that's a big use case too of in bigger movies where it's like, oh, the generative AI stuff, like sure, maybe it doesn't make sense for a final pixel, but to like be able to like roughly make out a pretty decent version of your film, to like see if it works and test it and see if you need to do script rewrites or anything like that, to have an audience test with the rough version. Especially
with the way our industry is now, there's so much scrutiny in the beginning to greenlight a project.
Yeah. So it's like
you need this more than ever.
For 50-100 grand, you can make a decent looking version of a film to test it before you commit to 20, 30 million.
Yeah. Go into that Netflix office with this stuff. You'll be way better off.
No reason why the stuff should look bad. This other demo on the Harmonize is a picture of a flamingo floating on a pool. And then it just like adds the reflection and like gets the shadow, the reflection, everything right.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Adobe. I gotta say that they're limited by Firefly itself, right? I think because I believe Harmonize and
it's interesting. Firefly is not mentioned in this at all.
Yeah, but I think end of the day, like Firefly is doing some of the generative filling and generative like.
Harmonize, which is powered by Adobe Firefly image model.
Yeah, so if like they swapped out Firefly for like Flux or something, like the results will be infinitely better. Because I think the Harmonize technology rides on top of their in-house model.
Probably, but I mean that's probably also because they know their model is commercially safe. So like, I think they would open up. I mean, maybe they'll give you the option if you want to use other models in the future. Like the Firefly web platform now is like being more of an all-in-one spot, and it's like, oh, you want to bring another model? Sure, cool, do whatever you want. Is now it's trying to be more like a free pick kind of tool set. Inside Photoshop itself, they probably, and also probably assuming bulk of Photoshop users, maybe you're not deep in the AI space, you know about the model, so it's just like, oh, this is a feature, right? You don't want to know what's going on under the hood, but we also don't want to commercially jeopardize you if like your company's policies are still kind of up in the air with that. So we know that the model it's using is safe.
Yeah, it's like the training wheel for AI, right? Like Photoshop, anything accessible and clickable in Photoshop is like a lot of artists' first foray into using AI for an actual project. Yeah,
but look, I think this is probably a good indicator too of the future of like what AI looks like for like mass consumers, where it's like Firefly is not like a big showcase thing, or the AI model. It doesn't say anything about AI. It's just like, oh, hey, this thing does something useful for me.
It's harmonizing.
In a tool that I know, and I click a button and it just works. And I don't have to think about like, how do I prompt this or anything like that. I think this is a good indicator of like what this like AI use in the future will look like, where it just does the thing you want to do and under the hood, and you don't have to think about it.
For sure. I mean, I think this is equally as groundbreaking as when Liquify and Photoshop came out like what, 10 years ago now? Do you know what Liquify is?
There's where you can kind of like
manipulate. Can like nudge endpoints and splines without distorting the image. It's like automatically, like if you're modifying
like
a face,
warp, but not distort like
so like if you want to make a fat face skinny or something like that, right? Like you'll push the cheeks in and it won't mess up the nose.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like hyper aware of the structure of the image, and this is pre-AI, right? And so when they dropped Liquify, instantly it changed like Instagram and social media overnight because everybody was using it to like have these absurdly crazy body proportions or things like that. So I think with Harmonize, you're going to see an equal revolution with product photography and advertisement and things like that.
Yeah. You just drop it in and be like, your product.
Yeah.
You take a picture of your product on an iPhone and drop it into a scene and then be like, okay, looks good.
There you go.
And then some other updates, they have another beta of Generative Upscale. So this is interesting too, because it's kind of going in Topaz's turf.
Yeah, for sure.
But basically using generative models to upscale an image using, I forgot. I don't know the science of traditional upscaling.
Yeah, traditional upscaling is just using algorithms and math. So it'll interpolate between the pixels. So if there's a red pixel here and a green pixel here, it'll go, red, yellow, green. Just like make that up. Versus here, if there's a red pixel here and a green pixel here, it's letting AI do that work for you.
Yeah, and it's using the base image as this is the original source, and then just as the noise.
And you could clearly see like it gets rid of that low resolution grain and the noise from the camera, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because then the image comes out super plasticky. And
when I've upscaled like archival stuff, I've like in my brain it's like, does this look way better? Like it's just like look really good?
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because it's so clear, or does this look too weird because it's upscaling weird?
I have a weird analogy for you on generative upscale, and I'm going to compare it to tall towers.
Tall towers?
Yeah, like the Space Needle in Seattle. Okay. So as you know, I just came back from both Tokyo and Seoul. Okay. Yeah. So Tokyo has the Tokyo Tower, which is equivalent to like Eiffel Tower. It's not that tall because it was built a long time ago. But because it was old school build, the building sways a little bit. And it's kind of weird. Like at the top, you feel like you're on a ship. So the observation deck is like 250 meters. It's not that tall, and you go up there, but you feel like you are way the hell up there. Like you're really swaying around. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm on top of the world here. Okay. So then we were at the Seoul Sky in Seoul, which is at 550 meters. Which is like more than twice the height of the Tokyo Tower. But because it's a newer building, it was like built 10 years ago, it's rock solid.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I guess I'm really high up. But there's no sensation.
Right.
There's
you feel like you might teeter over.
Yeah. So I think that's the same thing with generative upscale. I know it's a crazy analogy. It's like that little bit of grain, that error, that noise is what's giving you a sense of realism in your brain. And to remove that.
It's the same reason why, we add film grain back into digital images to give it some sort of texture, some feeling, which, I mean, ultimately is your creative choice.
Yeah. I think pristine, sterile, noise-free is not the way to go here.
Yeah. There's also even, there's a paper I always keep coming back to with Netflix, because they wrote about on their technical blog how for encoding, they'll like strip out the grain from the films to encode it, but then they'll add the grain back in during the streaming process. Something I think I'm very paraphrasing what they do, but it was like basically like the technical encoding process, they want to get rid of it, but they don't want to play it super clean because it'll look too weird. And they need to add the grain back.
Well, that's the whole reason why ARRI cameras are preferred. Like one of the main reasons why DPs love ARRI cameras is you have infinite control over the grain you insert into the image. Like you can even pick the grain on the camera.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so like you start off...
my camera usage. I'm not actually...
and speaking of ARRI Alexas, they just dropped the high frame rate camera recently. I think a couple of weeks ago. So now ARRI Alexas can do like 240 FPS.
Is this a new camera or a firmware update?
I think new body.
Okay.
Yeah. So
240, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
at 4K.
It looks insane. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Man, I remember you had to buy those Phantom or rent those extremely expensive Phantom cameras.
Yeah, and they would sound like this.
No, wait, they didn't sound like anything, did they?
Yeah, they were quite loud. The
I remember
Phantom
we rented
that
one
used,
once. Oh yeah,
they had massive fans on them.
I remember you had to have like a whole computer and stuff attached because like they were not built for film; they were built for scientific studies.
Yeah, when you were at NAB, I remember you covered a product that like has 90% of a phantom.
It was like, yeah, they say they do 1,000 frames per second at 4K, something like that.
For like cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beta, and the cameras in the video, because I think I touched one. He was like, "Oh no, it's just a model."
It's a mock-up.
Yeah, it was like a 3D print of the camera, but they had one working camera there. I mean, they said they're supposed to ship later this year. I'm curious. I mean, his background was in scientific imaging, so he had the goods. So I could believe he could do it.
Okay.
I'd be curious to see when it comes out, because also that would be crazy, because the pricing was, I don't know, 3,000.
It was like black magic pricing.
Yeah, crazy pricing, and for something like that to compete with the Phantoms, which those things were like $100,000,
5 figures, 6 figures, easily.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I think a good buffer against AI generated stuff, where it's like, oh, okay, well, let's just go shoot really crazy stuff in real life that people are probably going to say, is that AI generated? But it's like, no, we shot for real.
Well, I think imaging is now more important than ever, because it is the input into all this stuff, right? Like, so the better your images are going into an AI system, the better results you can expect. I guess it's the same with VFX too, but in the past, we've had a lot of hands on the frame to get it to a place where you need it to be. The whole premise of AI is you don't need a lot of hands to get it to the place.
Yeah.
So then it comes down to like, what is your source image? How good is that?
Yeah. All right. Next up, Hunyuan 3D World Model 1.0. So they released a world model product. Well, I think world model is sort of it's not a world. It is. It's
a 3D generation model.
Yeah. So you could generate a 3D space, text or image to 3D. It looks similar to kind of World Labs demo that I saw a while ago, where you creates like a 3D sphere and you can sort of move around it. In the demo, it seemed like you could only move around a little bit, but it also generates the meshes and textures, so you could bring it into Unreal or Blender or something else.
Yeah. I'm kind of skeptical right from the beginning, because it's not just about generating the geometry or the mesh, but what quality the mesh is, how segmented they are, or how grouped they are. And as you know, modeling and world generation is such an art.
For sure. For sure. Above my head. But to do it well, I'm interested. Well, first off, this can run locally, so that's cool.
Cool.
I'm curious about this stuff, not necessarily from a photoreal or highly accurate version, but more like generating a 3D space for those use cases I've talked about before, of like maybe filming a scene like in a virtual production kind of space where you want to have reverse angles and have like a consistent background. And it's like, okay, if you could have something that could quickly generate a 3D environment that looks kind of consistent and gives you some parallax, that could be a good lift.
Yeah, for virtual production, I absolutely see the use case here. However, for games, I think it's far more complex.
To move around. Yeah, you need.
Yeah, game maps are designed to a T, right? Like,
yes, because then that's also like you're not the director where you can control what angles we see. We only need to worry about what we see. Yeah, users need to go anywhere.
And also anything. Like compute resources, memory size, all that stuff is so like precise, right? Because you know, in a given game, you're given, 100 gigabytes for the whole game, and then each level comes down to like 2 gigabytes. Like you have to fit the geometry, the texture, the players, the props, everything in there. And this is not going to give you that level of control, I'm sure.
Here's some more details. 360 panoramic generation, complete immersive world scenes, explorable 3D scene generation, interactive, editable, exportable meshes. So I could run locally. So
hey, off topic, what are your thoughts on where virtual production is colliding with Aleph and tools like Aleph? Like, I guess my question is, do we need LED volumes in the near future? In the near future, yeah. I mean, look, Aleph is 5 seconds a shot, and like we talked about before with where the consistency is at, because all the demos we're seeing is like shot. So, but it's like if you're in a scene, and let's say if the example you're trying to do is like, oh, let's shoot our actors on like a white empty stage, and we'll add this background in through Aleph. If we're going to be able to consistently get the angle and background shot to shot, setup to setup, I don't know if it's there yet. I just, I spent the last 4 years in LED volume world, and all of us as an industry, we fought tooth and nail for every inch of taking green screen business and putting it into a volume business. I feel like with all this new stuff, it just kind of goes back to green screen. Or white screen. Or no something. Screen. Yeah. I mean, what are the bigger arguments for VP? I mean, it's still the benefit of like, everyone can see what you're trying to film and what's happening. The actors can see what's happening. Sure. I was going to say like the lighting benefits
and
relighting
on materials and people and stuff. But you know, if Aleph does its thing, like well, it seems like it can kind of light the people too. I mean, it's still version 1 of Aleph. I don't know if, like, I'm trying to think, is there a blend where it's like maybe you don't have to have as great of an LED screen, but you can put something sort of
projectors,
but also like, oh, what if maybe you can kind of gray box or kit bash the environment. You don't have to have such an awesome, amazing environment. It can save on the pre-pro work that normally has to go into VP. And you can sort of have something up that people can see, but then maybe you run it through something like Aleph where like that
turns into
the background, but like we have the geography and stuff is consistent. So maybe it's some hybrid of the two.
Great point there. All right.
I don't know. I mean, as of right now, no, I don't think this is at the point. I mean, also like you're going to be have to do it in 5-second chunks with possible questionable consistency and a 1080p output in like 8-bit color.
Yep.
All right. Other tool that I saw that I just want to dive into more, it's called Morphic. And so they said introducing 3D motion. And so similar to what we've been seeing in the world, you give it an image and it builds out a 3D model of the space, and you can move around the camera in this 3D space and create different actions, different movements. Yeah, I mean, just another sort of crazy
it's generatively, well, it's kind of doing what Hunyuan's doing, right? It's making a 3D world, but not for exporting, but just to navigate around it.
Or just extrapolating some depth. I think also this is something similar that Moonvalley does too. Like in this image here, it's like it took the image and kind of extrapolated the woman, and then you could add some sort of camera movement to the woman.
Yes.
And it looks like it's like a pretty slick interface, like easy to use interface.
Yeah, my guess is this is a lot of depth map generation in the background with generative filling the depth map and so on.
Yeah. But it popped on my radar. I thought it was interesting. I'm
very cool.
Mess around with it because also I'm into interesting, useful, and easy to use tools that can help speed up the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's no end to like tools that we can cover on the show.
No, I had to cut out the stuff we missed. Like you were gone when like Runway Act 2 was updated.
Oh, and really?
Yeah, I'm like, well,
first of all, my bad.
I feel like that's too late now to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, next one, scenario.
This blew my mind.
Generate in parts.
This is nuts.
Text to 3D, which is not new.
This is you're underwhelming it. It's not just text to 3D. It's text to 3D in a way CG productions need it. In pieces.
I was trying to set you up for you to come
Joey,
in.
what the heck?
To come in with the big drop.
This is mind blowing. Okay, don't sleep on this one, folks, because one of the challenges with 3D generation is that the mesh sucks. The mesh is inseparable. It's not in pieces. You can't re-topo it, or you can't model it on top of the generation. Well, check this out. They're showing an example of a still image of a Lego character, and then the pieces of the Lego character, including the socket at which the Lego character goes in and out of the head connects to the body. Like, it's all modeled. And I mean, this is crazy.
They explode the model, and it all looks like accurate Lego parts exploding, that it generated the entire character, but it accurately can pull it apart in the separate meshes.
In the old days, this is what a modeler did and was paid very handsomely for, is not just generating the thing, but making it into modular little pieces that could be modified down the road. So now you can just texture the goggles and just texture the face and so on, and then give it to another artist who can then modify it further, or add it to a rig and rig it into a character.
On the LinkedIn post we're looking at from the co-founder and CEO of Scenario, Emmanuel de Maistre, sorry if I slaughtered that. At the heart of it is Part Crafter, the first open source AI model that intelligently splits objects into multiple 3D parts, each with its own clean geometry and structure. One image in, structured 3D out.
Yeah, my guess is this is perhaps aimed somewhat at our industry, but really it's aimed at industrial applications where you have CAD level precision needed for 3D object generation. I think this is a really interesting space to watch as 3D generation levels up.
Trying to figure out how to print something.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if you want to build things in 3D and simulate, like if you want to put a car in a wind tunnel, you would need to build it in pieces so you can move the pieces around. Things like that.
Future of F1.
Yeah, nuts.
Big leap in. Yeah, we don't see as much generative 3D stuff, but that's a big leap.
Absolutely.
To helping move that forward.
Very impressed.
All right, other update in my favorite Google tool for learning new stuff, NotebookLM, which we've talked about before. I've gotten it mixed up before.
You don't use that, do you?
I use that all the time. That's great. That's how I learned Comfy. That's my prep for a Comfy episode. But yeah, the just NotebookLM, you can give it a bunch of documents, YouTube videos, recordings, and then it sort of creates a smart little notebook area where you can ask it questions or give it mind maps, lesson plans, outlines, quiz you about the stuff. But my favorite feature of it was it can generate a fake podcast episode of two hosts talking about whatever the thing was. That's the best. That's been around since they started, and that's been the best feature, which is like a fake podcast episode breaking down whatever this technical topic is.
Yeah.
Now they've added a new feature, video generation. And so moving the podcast thing sort of forward, it'll create a video presentation explaining whatever is in your notebook. The videos right now are kind of whatever. It's sort of like a PowerPoint slideshow. So it creates fake slides breaking down the topic. So it's sort of like you're watching a PowerNote presentation.
So they're not coming for Addy and Joey just yet.
Not yet. But once they like connect this with VO3, which I imagine would be expensive right now, and then it's like someone showing the concepts.
Yeah.
Like that'll be kind of crazy.
Should we just like do this podcast with AI? Like you'll save you a commute. You don't have to drive over here.
Instead of that, we need the Google hologram table or something. I can just pop into my studio, you go in here, and
man,
we have a hologram meeting.
Yeah, it just goes to show like no matter what technology comes our way, like human to human interaction, analysis, color on things, that's never going to be replaced.
Yeah, I don't think so. But when you're in need of a very specific fake podcast episode learning about a very specific scientific paper.
Yeah, and you just want to listen to it in your car or something.
This thing comes in great. Yeah. I've done that all the time with like papers, and I'm like, they have an iPhone app, so like I queue up the audio and I listen to it on the drive.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is the one thing the drive over here helps me with. I can catch up on podcasts.
Yeah.
And then last one, this is an open source tool that someone built. Albert Bozazan.
Shout out to Albert.
Yeah, built a cool tool called Shotbuddy. And it is basically open sourced it. It runs locally on your computer, and it's a tool that helps when you're dealing with AI generated stuff. There's usually a lot of image generations and versions and chaos, and it can turn into a really big mess in your download folder.
Yep.
His tool, it basically is a quick little shot list generator. Every time you add a new image, it makes a new shot. It adds a shot ID, and then it has a spot where you can add the image or add the video generation. And when you do, it automatically moves that file to a folder on your computer, renames the file to the shot name. And then if you add a new version, it moves the old version to a version folder.
Oh, nice.
And then replaces your current folder with all of your latest generations.
Yeah.
And so it's just a really nice, handy tool to keep your generations a bit more organized, add some notes, and keep things a little cleaner.
Feels like it's purpose-built for AI filmmaking.
It is targeted at AI filmmaking. Yeah. He open sourced it. It's on GitHub. You can download it. We'll have the link. And yeah, I mean, I've been thinking of, he released it and he's like, yeah, I'm sure people have other ideas of how they want to fit this into their workflow. I'm not a programmer, but I've on my list of things to mess with.
You got Cloud Code.
Well, that's the thing. I only have regular Claude, but I haven't installed Claude Code yet.
Okay.
But that's been on my list of things to do. And so I'm thinking like, oh, well, let me give it a spin and see if I can connect what he already built, which he said on the bottom, it says built with like ChatGPT code.
Wow.
Or OpenAI code or whatever.
Nice.
And if I could add the extra features that I'm looking for. So that's on my growing list of things to test and explore.
Mr.
Projects.
Open Source Joey over here.
Figuring out coding without like blowing up my computer or whatever.
while you're rendering on Wan 2.2.
Let that render. Just a shout out to Shotbuddy. We'll have the link and stuff to it. But it's a super cool app and cool to.
Yeah, we love seeing underdogs do innovative work. I mean, that's what's so exciting about this AI space is that you don't have to be Google, you don't have to be Meta to make a dent here. Like the field is wide open for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's only getting easier and easier to make stuff. I think to what we've been talking about with VFX artists and artists in general, the taste factor and the quality control is just going to be more and more important of knowing what you want and the direction to steer it, but the execution part is just getting easier and easier.
Yeah, and I know a lot of VFX artists personally, and so many of them have a higher level of quality and quite honestly a higher level of creativity than some of the directors they've worked for.
I'm sure. Yeah,
and they've been frustrated the entire time during a production. Like this is your chance to make the thing.
Well, now you can make the thing, right? You don't need to have a massive budget to make the thing. You could make the thing and use your taste towards it.
You have the eye, you have the skills, you understand content production, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right. Thanks for everything talked about. as usual, at denoisepodcast.com.
Thank you for your support. We are waiting on an Apple Podcast 5-star. If you can give us one. I'm begging here. I'm just kidding. If you feel like giving us one, that would be amazing and highly appreciated.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next episode.